brave the disease, and those who dedicate their purpose in finding and providing care and solution for everyone. Let us show them love not by giving flowers or chocolates, but by making an action and let them feel that we are with them as they battle with the disease. Stay with us to know more about the diagnosis, available treatment, and prevention of different types of cancer. I am Tatiana Austria, your host for today's episode of Lifeline, where we improve our lives by feeding our minds. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation to be here. With your expertise, it's truly an honor to be sitting down with you po today and to talk about cancer. Speaking of, ano po ba yung medical definition of cancer? Let's begin this talk.
Okay. So when we say cancer, this is the abnormal proliferation or abnormal division of cells na it can go somewhere else. It can go to the liver, it can go to the lungs, it can go to the bones. So technically, it's an abnormal division of the cells itself.
Okay po. So, and with this definition, nakakamatay po talaga yung cancer.
Not necessarily if you get it early, so it's curative. But when we get it a little bit late, so this is where we come in, we control the disease.
Okay po, Doc. And with that, what is your current diagnosis of cancer control and care here in the Philippines?
As of now, okay, this is a bit tricky, all right. So we have so much problems in terms of cancer care, okay? With the World Cancer Day topic, it's like closing the cancer gap. This is really where we have to give back to the people. In terms of the treatment itself, kulang na kulang talaga tayo.
Okay po.
So far, the government has been having all the National Integrated Cancer Control Act. So we are going there, not quite, but we are there. So in terms of the diagnosis of cancer in the Philippines, I think we're on the stage 3. So
Stage 3 out of how many stages, Doc?
Stage 4. So wala pa naman tayo sa stage 4.
Okay.
But it's really a challenge for our country as
Okay
of
po.
now.
And comparing our country to our, let's say, our Asian neighbors, how are we doing po in terms of hospital care for cancer patients?
Well, in terms of our neighboring countries, right? In terms of their access to medicine, in terms of their health care, mas nakaka-access sila ng medications.
Yes.
So there are cancer drugs that are a little bit expensive, and more often than not, our patients would pay it out of their own pocket. So
Yes.
kulang talaga yon. So some, like for example, in South Korea, of course, in South Korea kasi the medicines are subsidized by the government.
Yes.
So for example, a patient would need 50,000 worth of medicine. They can be given for free.
And let me just clarify, Doc. So here po in the Philippines, it's not as subsidized as it is in South Korea.
Yes. So more often than not, again, patients would pay out of their own pocket.
And speaking of paying, how expensive is it to be a cancer patient here in the Philippines?
Well, there's a wide range. There are chemo drugs that are a little bit affordable, quote unquote affordable, and there are drugs like immunotherapy that's super expensive. Patients may pay 250,000 per cycle that is given every 3 weeks. But there are patients that may receive like 2,000 pesos per cycle. So it depends again on the cancer type and what would be the treatment for that cancer type.
Jumping on that po, Doc, Julie, on a scale of 1 to 10, now math naman tayo, on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you place the Philippines in terms of cancer care?
Well, in terms of cancer care, we are in 1. 10 is the highest, right?
10's the highest, so
Okay,
we're at
so
1.
1. So we have to come a long way. We have to have support from the government itself, of course. Although some societies, like the Philippine Society of Medical Oncology, have programs that may help our kababayan for that.
Opo, so to say na really start developing cancer care here in the Philippines, dapat talaga it comes with the legislative branch mo muna in terms of like the government before yung private institutions of health.
Yes. Kasi as if we look at it, like when we see our patients, majority of our patients are in the low mid-income.
Yes po.
And in this majority of patients, more often than not, we see them like advanced stages. Bakit sila advanced stage? Kasi wala silang pampagamot. Maliit pa lang yun. Like, for example, breast mass. Maliit pa lang, hahayaan. Kasi wala silang pampagamot
Lumago ng lumago.
So malaking-malaki na siya.
Dun pa
Andyan
lang.
na, doon na
Yes.
magpapagamot. So minsan, stage 4 na siya.
Opo.
So sayang yung timeline na pwede natin siyang ma-cure.
So if earlier sana, if they had
Exactly.
access to that kind of care early on, we could have lessened the amount of people who unfortunately have passed away from cancer. din.
Exactly.
Opo. And now to check our own backyard naman in terms of the UST Hospital, Doc Julie works at the UST Hospital. How is the UST Hospital in taking care of our cancer patients?
Okay, we have our clinical division wherein our less fortunate patients would go in. They are supervised as well. And of course, we have our lay fora to have, of course, prevention is still better than cure, right?
Yes po, definitely.
Yes, so the lay fora, we hope that it will help through the lay fora that to get out to the people that once we catch the cancer early, the chances of cure is higher. So we have the lay fora, and then we have, of course, the clinical division where we see patients, of course, lower rates.
Opo.
And then what is good with UST Hospital is we accept medications from Philippine Charity Sweepstakes Office, so PCSO. Some of our patients would ask help from PCSO, so PCSO will bring in the PCSO will give the medicine to the patient, and we accept them as well.
Okay po. Now, we will definitely be taking note of all of the information that we got from you, Doc Julie. And to get to know more about our UST Hospital, let's watch this video to get to know about the Benavides Cancer Institute.
The Benavides Cancer Institute of the University of Santo Tomas Hospital, inaugurated in 2006, has been a center of excellence devoted to the holistic care of cancer patients. It integrates education, training, and research guided by Christian faith and morals. The Institute commits itself to dedicated, competent, and compassionate cancer care delivery. Even in this time of pandemic, we are ready to serve our patients and ensure their welfare by implementing safety protocols.
Huwag kang mag-alala. Safe at alaga ka dito.
The center is well-equipped and sanitized, maintains proper physical distancing measures, including full vaccination of its staff to prevent the transmission of COVID-19. At BCI, we deliver state-of-the-art management through the optimal utilization of facilities and technology in a patient-friendly environment. Optimal and efficient cancer care is best achieved when doctors from medical, surgical, and radiation oncology fields, together with allied healthcare specialists, come together to discuss the most appropriate management for every patient. This interaction between physicians, the patients, and their relatives is made possible through multidisciplinary meetings that are conducted using online platforms to ensure that the best possible care is delivered to each and every patient.
The center will operate our brand new Varian Vital Beam Linear Accelerator later in the year. It will allow us to deliver efficient radiation therapy techniques such as stereotactic radiosurgery and stereotactic ablative body radiotherapy.
The center offers chemotherapy for all cancer patients. The section of hematology provides comprehensive care of patients with leukemia and other blood disorders. Bone marrow biopsies are done by our highly competent hematologists that enable the accurate diagnosis of malignant blood disorders. The center also offers outpatient transfusion and treatment for both benign and malignant blood diseases.
Here at the Benavides Cancer Institute, we make sure that all your needs will be given in the best possible way.
Tapispisan discussed with us some of the most important information that we need to know about cancer. Now, we will hear more stories on what it's like to live with the disease. With that, joining Dr. Tapispisan in the conversation is the Department Chair of the Department of Mathematics and Physics, Assistant Professor Enrico M. Yambao, MSc, a cancer survivor. Hello po, Sir Rico. Thank you so much po for being with us today po. Naka-on na po yan.
Hello, good afternoon. It's a privilege actually to be part of your program today.
How are you doing po, Prof?
I'm more than fine. Actually, I am actually a cancer survivor for 23 years old. This will be my 23rd year of being a cancer
23
survivor.
years of being a cancer survivor. And Prof, how did you know that you had cancer?
Actually, it was in October 2000. I was able to know that I have cancer, actually through the lymph node in my neck, in this
Yes,
portion
po.
of my neck. Before, actually, when I was taking a shower while rubbing soap, actually, while I tried to rub actually my neck with soap, I
Yes, ma'am.
was able to feel
Na
that
may
there
lymph-
was a small mass in my neck, and it is a flat mass. Okay, it's a flat mass mass actually. So I thought it was mumps because I never experienced mumps before. So
Yes,
I thought
po.
it was mumps.
So hindi muna cancer yung nasa
Yes,
isip nila.
but unfortunately, when I was trying to touch the other portion of my neck, there was no mass. So I thought it was just an ordinary mass that was actually growing in my neck. So, but later on, as days went by, it started to become bigger and bigger, and it started to protrude.
And when it grew na po, Prof Rico, did you get to have a checkup na po with the doctor
No,
or not yet
that's
pa?
the
Not yet.
problem. Okay, I will tell you my story.
Let's go, doc.
To tell you the truth, actually up to now, because I have not consulted my doctor for quite so long now, I'm still afraid of any medical doctor.
Doc Julie, yes.
Yes. Actually, I'm afraid of doctors. That's the tendency of many, actually. Most of them actually are afraid of doctors. So, I know that I have lymph node in my neck, but a lymph node which is quite strange because it was totally painless. And of course, everybody knows that if you have a lymph node, there must be an infection in your body.
Opo,
But
Prof.
it so happened that the infection is not visible outside my body, so it must be within my body. I know that, but I'm afraid of consulting a doctor. But I am not afraid to know whatever is the cause
Baka may
of
bad
my
news
lymph node.
na kasama. Yes po.
I'm afraid really of doctors. In fact, even my colleagues in the department, they were able, of course, to notice that I have lymph node. In fact, they tried to bring me into our UST Health Clinic. And when we were about to enter actually the UST Health Clinic, I ran away from them and went home.
Parang no thanks na lang sa bad news if
yes.
ever, just in denial. And Doc Julie, if I may ask, in regards to Professor Rico's story, what are the early signs that a patient may have cancer? There are different types of cancer. Parang how do we all boil it down to symptoms na pinaka-general, if ever may ganun po ba?
Well, that's the problem with cancer. You can't know You don't know if you have now or not. Usually, what we see, ano ba yung mga madadaling cancer na malaman? Like breast cancer. Kasi you're gonna feel the lump. Nasopharyngeal, not so much. Because nasa loob siya So we don't usually see.
In the case of
Yes.
Professor
We
Rico,
don't
it was
usually see
nasopharyngeal
them.
cancer.
Usually, weight loss. You're losing weight kahit na malakas kang kumain. So medyo magtataka ka na dyan.
Nagka-weight loss po ba kayo, Prof Rico?
The only symptom actually was my lymph node.
Ayun lang.
I never experienced weight loss or even loss in appetite.
Wow. So, and ano po yung ibang
Yes,
symptoms?
Diba? Nakakatakot, diba?
It so happened, at least I was still very lucky then because there was a symptom, and that one is the lymph node.
Isa lang talaga
Unfortunately,
symptom
I never bothered to consult any doctor for checkup.
Yes po.
It so happened that in the middle of December that year, after doing my laundry, when one of my companions at home accidentally touched my arm, I shouted because of the pain that I felt upon touching my arm. And that's quite strange because I never experienced that. I really shouted. So he touched my arm again, and my arm was really very sensitive to touch. I do not know. So that's the reason why I was brought to Manila doctors.
You were brought, but you didn't take yourself there.
Yes.
You were just told na you should go see the
actually,
doctor.
my sister actually informed one of my cousins who happened to be also a physician affiliated with Manila doctors. So my cousin actually requested me to be in Manila doctors to temporarily stay in the emergency room, but she already reserved for my room. She wanted me to be confined in Manila doctors. And of course, the rest now is history. When I was confined now in Manila doctors, so all laboratory tests, CT scan, bone scan, ultrasound of the liver,
Nilahat
they
na
were
nung
all
test.
conducted on me.
Opo. And now we have survived.
Yes, so actually, supposed to be, by December, I know already the result of the biopsy. Unfortunately, because they don't want to ruin our Christmas celebration and New Year celebration.
Medyo sensitive po yung doctors nyo that
informed
time.
me regarding the result of the biopsy. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, January 3 to 2021.
Wow. Okay po, Prof. And in regards po ulit dun sa symptoms, what steps should a person take as early as they notice the signs po?
Okay, there are screening procedures, or we have what we call cancer screening. As of now, we screen for breast cancer. So at the age of us, not
At the age of us.
us. Okay, at a younger age, you have to do your self breast exam, and you do it on your 5th day of menses. You don't do it on the before your menses or yung pagmalapit na, kasi the hormones, the hormonal
Kailangan masaktuhan dun sa 5th day
Oo,
talaga.
kasi yung hormonal influence dun sa breast tissue. So usually we do it self-breast exam on 5th day of menses. And then you have your annual mammogram by the age of 40. Now for colorectal screening, you do your annual colonoscopy by the age of 45 or 50. For prostate cancer, you do it by the age of 50. So you do your digital rectal exam, your ultrasound of the prostate. And for lung cancer, we do low-dose CT, but there are certain conditions when to do the low-dose CT. Not everyone has to do the low-dose CT.
Hindi lahat naman
Hindi lahat.
eligible din for the
Yes.
CT. Okay, thank you so much for the information po, Doc. And Prof. Rico, how did your diagnosis back then affect your family po?
Of course, the members of my family definitely were very sad. But they did not bother to show that they were depressed when they learned that I have cancer. Luckily, to boost my morale, because definitely they know that I'm also sad because of that result. So to boost my morale, it so happened that I have so many supportive sisters. You know what? They just told me when they learned that I have cancer, don't worry about your finances. Just make sure that you will undergo all the necessary treatment. We will take care of your finances. Just make sure that you will cooperate with your doctor to undergo all the necessary
You really had a supportive and
Oh,
loving
yes.
family po, Prof. And that was so nice po. And now you finally beat cancer for 23 years survivor. That's incredible. And as for diagnosing po cancer, Doc Julie, how about one's lifestyle? Is there a correlation to that? Yung lifestyle po nila, is there an increased risk when it comes to being diagnosed with cancer?
Okay, so now based on WHO, cancer is one of the top 4 non-communicable diseases epidemic. So, ano yung mga iba pang kasama sa top 4? That would be hypertension, diabetes, and chronic respiratory disease. And cancer is up there. So, it is a non-communicable disease or a lifestyle disease. So, based on that, you have to really have a healthy lifestyle. Because a majority of the cancers here are because of the risk factors. Like, for example, cigarette smoking. Ano ba ang risk factors for cigarette smoking? Okay, we'll start from head to foot. Brain, nasopharyngeal, tongue, esophageal, lung,
Damay-damay
breast,
lahat.
gastric, pancreatic, colon, rectum, prostate. So that is only for cigarette smoking. So
By one action lang, it affects
Yes.
a lot of things po.
that's why we are pushing for prevention. Because once we modify this lifestyle, bababa ang cancer, yung quote-unquote epidemic, bababa yan eh. As of now, we have like, for every hour, there is like 33 patients dying of cancer. For every hour. That's whole world. Just imagine, di ba? So, and it can be modified eh.
To pick up on what you said about cigarette smoking, nowadays po kasi we also see vape po. And I would like to debunk this by asking you directly, is there really a difference? Because some of them say na vaping doesn't cause cancer as much as cigarette smoking does daw po.
Well, as of now, the data is not yet there kasi bago lang ang vaping
yes po,
right?
opo.
But still, the addiction is there. The nicotine is there. That's the addiction. So, actually, mas marami ring chemicals doon eh. Mas maraming chemicals doon.
Sa bagong technology, yes.
Oo. So, they say vape is safer. We don't have the data, but based on based on what is happening, so we see that there are more chemicals in vaping. So, malamang yung risk factor, it will be the same. But the data will be coming out anytime soon, sana.
Sana po, no. Thank you so much po for your
Alright.
information, Doc. And thank you so much for sharing your experience with us po, Professor Rico. Tomorrow, February 4, is World Cancer Day. And with that, let's watch this video.
We are happy to be part of this global activity of spreading awareness against cancer. UST Hospital, together with the Tomasian community, is working together to educate our medical staff and patients to contribute in making this world a cancer-free place. Through this effort, may we promote healthy lifestyle, enhance awareness among Filipino people, and make a mark in reducing the global impact of cancer. We salute the men and women who continuously fight to survive and win this battle against cancer. Together, let's close the gap in the treatment of cancer care.
The will to live is a natural desire for all human persons, especially those who are battling diseases just like cancer. The whole Tomasian community, especially the University of Santo Tomas Hospital, through its Benavides Cancer Institute, commits itself in its fight against cancer. Together as Tomasians, let us support those people who have dedicated their lives in terms of their research and study about cancer. Let us hope and pray for cancer patients that they might have renewed faith and hope that their health may be restored and that happiness may reign in their families. God bless us all.
Earlier, we were able to cover a thing or two about cancer care and diagnosis here in our country and get to know more about what it was like to be living with the disease. But with all the fear and negativity that we associate cancer with, let us now talk about the discoveries that will help us be hopeful in the present and, of course, in the future. Let us welcome Professor Pia Marie Albano, PhD, a faculty member of the Department of Biological Sciences of the College of Science and a researcher of cancer. Welcome to Lifeline po, Professor Pia. It is an honor to have you here with us today.
Good afternoon.
How are you doing po, Prof?
I'm good.
And in terms of your career, what has motivated you to focus on your research on cancer specifically?
Well, personal reasons.
Yes po.
I would say I have family members who had been diagnosed of cancer, and some members even died of cancer. And then I met Dr. Ortin and Dr. Mejia. They took care of my uncle, and that's how it started. And then it
And what
inspired
age
me
was that po, Doc?
when they were diagnosed.
And you were how old at that time when you grew an interest in cancer?
That was more than 10 years ago.
Oh, 10 years na pala din.
Yes.
Okay po, and that's when it started in your interest in growing a career in terms of cancer research. And after receiving training in Germany, what led you to return to the Philippines and continue your research here?
Okay, so actually when you are doing your research abroad, no, andun lahat, you have all the facilities, feel mo maging scientist.
Definitely much more
Yes.
advanced compared.
Yes, feel mo maging researcher, scientist, everything is there. I mean, state-of-the-art facilities.
Wow.
But there are so many experts abroad. There are so many good scientists abroad. In the Philippines, there are not so many researchers, scientists, especially in this field, translational medicine. And that is what really inspired me to come back to the Philippines, other than I need to render a return service.
Okay po. And what challenges, if I may ask, did you face in your career, and how did the UST hospital help you support in your research goals?
Okay, UST hospital and the university itself. So challenges, of course, I was just one of the members of the team of Dr. John Donny Ramos at that time, and then I needed to establish my own lab. So in fairness to UST, we were given our own lab, especially that I was able to get grants, government grants. And then as to the UST hospital, Dr. Ortin is very supportive. So they tried to raise funds so that we could set up the humble biobank that we have right now.
And Professor Pia, in your background po, it entails that you have a background in translational research.
Mm-hmm.
How does this research differ from other commercially available options that we know of today?
Okay, so siguro most of the things that you know about cancer research is, okay, doing this research, are looking for anti-microbial, anti-cancer drugs. That's not what I'm doing. What I'm doing, or my training is more on the development of diagnostic tests for the early detection of cancer. So it's translational. Ibig sabihin nun, I use specimens from actual cancer patients and clinically healthy, physician-diagnosed clinically healthy participants. I look for biomarkers, and then we develop tests for their early detection. We look for biomarkers that could detect cancer. Specifically, we had been focused on the common cancers that afflict.
What are the common cancers po in terms of your research?
We've done tests on. We've researched on breast, lung, colorectal, and in the Philippines, we are also focusing right now on nasopharyngeal cancers, and then we also have a study on thyroid cancers.
Okay po, so you really focus on the start of it all, which is diagnosing
Early
the cancer.
detection.
Yes, po, early detection din.
Yes.
And Professor Pia, the work that you do here is truly impressive when it comes to early detection in cancer patients. I also personally have a family member who was diagnosed with cancer, and as it was mentioned earlier, parang may comparison din with chemotherapy versus the new one, immunotherapy. And would you say that you're familiar with the difference in the two then?
Well, I'm not a clinician. I'm not a medical doctor.
Opo.
It would be best to ask na lang ulit Dr.
Julie later
yes,
on, yes
about
po.
the treatment at baka kung ano pang masabi ko. Like what I said, I'm more focused on
The early detection. Yes,
development
Professor
of,
Pia. Thank you
kits.
so much
Yes.
for answering our questions, and we are hoping to see a brighter future of cancer research here in the Philippines. Today, we've heard from 3 guests who are well-versed in the topic of cancer. Now, let's hear from the public. Our team went around the campus to hear what the Mashans currently know about cancer. So keep watching, as we will be also debunking some of the myths they may have said.
What do you know about cancer?
One thing I know about cancer is abnormal growth of cell, and it could be related to tumor or other invasion of unhealthy cells that could damage your organ or other parts of the body.
Parang iba-iba po yung symptoms po ng cancer, iba-ibang cancer po.
Wala pa po siyang cure.
Kapag nagka-cancer ka, it would do damage on your body, such as pwede kang makalbo or humina yung immune system mo.
For me, cancer is deadly po.
For cancer, parang ang common knowledge ko is pag stage 3 and up, fatal siya. And then for 2 and below po, mas may chance na parang ma-cure siya sa chemo, parang ganun.
And we are back this time with all of our invited guests here with us, Doc Tapispisan, Professor Rico, and Professor Pia. And on the street video together, we watched it all. And I would like to hear your initial thoughts about the Tomasian's general answers from what we've seen.
Okay,
Let's begin with Doc Julie
I'll go first. Okay. Tama naman siya. Iba-iba yung symptoms ng cancer. So we really have to know our body more. So pag meron kayo nakitang medyo abnormal, get it checked. Wala namang mawawala. So get it checked.
Okay po. And one of the interviewees also said na kapag nagka-cancer ka raw, it can cause damage to your body. Pwede ka raw po makalbo or maapektuhan pa yung immune system nyo. Mr. Yambao, what would you have to say about this?
Ang pagkakalbo, epekto yon na isa yun sa mga side effects when you are undergoing
chemotherapy. Yes po.
Naniniwala ako yun, humihina ang resistensya because as far as medyo humina ang aking resistensya after undergoing all the necessary treatment. Kasi after undergoing all the treatments, naging humina ang resistensya ko sa ulan, maulanan lang ako, nagkakasipon ako at ubo. Kaya nga lang, napakabait pa rin sa akin ng Diyos ngayon because during the pandemic, I never experienced na ubuhin at saka lagnatin. O kaya sipunin man lang kahit na medyo maulanan. Pero nakakahina talaga ng resistensya.
Opo. Thank you so much for sharing your opinion with us. And meron pa pong isa doon actually na nagbanggit na pag stage 3 and above, it's definitely fatal. And pag 2 and below, mas may chance daw na ma-cure ito through chemotherapy. Professor Pia, would you like to clarify the statement po?
Okay, so of course, whatever stage it is, if it is not properly treated and managed, it can be fatal, especially if it will lead into a metastatic one. But again, that's the reason why I'm advocating for the early detection of cancer and working on the detection or identifying biomarkers for the early detection of cancer is because the earlier that you detect cancer, the better is the management of that disease.
The earlier po talaga really is the key to bringing about a healthier future for Filipino citizens. And furthermore, one of them also said na wala pa raw cure ang cancer. I would like to ask all of your opinions regarding this one.
May I go first?
Yes, sure po, sir.
If there is no cure for cancer, I won't be here today.
Definitely, yes po.
Imagine 23 years na akong survivor. So it means that cancer really can be cured. In fact, my last hospitalization was actually 2018. And in 2018, I thought that my cancer actually recurred because I had my nose bleeding and mouth bleeding. Unfortunately, in 2018, I found out that I was still totally free of cancer.
Wow, that is so good po to hear from you, Professor Rico po. Thank you for sharing that. And more on the clinical side, we can see na may cure na talaga din yung cancer po. Doc Julie.
Yes. So, cancer is curable, especially in the earlier stage. Stage 1, 2, and 3, we can cure. As long as we got it early, that is why Dr. Pia is also
it's
here.
A full circle. Dr. Pia, early detection, yes.
We really have to have an early detection so we can cure. And it doesn't mean also if you have a stage 4 disease, wala nang pag-asa. Meron pa rin. Don't lose hope because there are so many new drugs in the market that we can give to our patients. In fact, I have a breast cancer patient. I started her on chemo because she was so weak. So it doesn't also mean na kapag sobrang hina, hindi pwedeng mag-treat. Okay? So again, I started her on chemo. She got better. She is 78 years old. She has stage 4 breast cancer. I am still giving her hormonal therapy, and she is going year 5 for a stage 4 breast cancer.
For stage 4.
Diba?
Yes
So
po.
you don't lose hope. As long as there is early detection, we got it early, the chances of cure is higher. If you have a stage 4 disease, it depends on what the disease is. So as long as you get the treatment that you need, we can prolong or we can control your disease.
Doc Julie, earlier po, I accidentally asked Professor Pia a question that's actually meant for a clinical doctor, which is about the debate between chemotherapy and immunotherapy. Because in our personal story po at home, we had to do research. Kung ano ba yung better option? Is it chemotherapy? Is it immunotherapy? Because when my grandfather was diagnosed with metastatic melanoma, we were given those two options. Iba po kasi talaga if nag-google ka, nag-google and you see all these websites giving you different information and research articles versus asking the doctor rather itself po. And Doc Julie, what can you say about
All right.
this?
So when we say chemotherapy and immunotherapy are totally different things. And at this era, we are practicing personalized medicine. So ibig sabihin, one patient would receive this treatment, kahit pareho kayong breast cancer, pwedeng magkaiba ang treatment nyo because of personalized medicine. A patient may need immunotherapy plus chemo, a patient may need immunotherapy lang, a patient may need chemotherapy lang. Again, it will depend on the ito na yung next generation sequencing, NGS. This is where Dr. Pia again will come in. So we do practice personalized medicine. When we say immunotherapy, this is not chemo. Kasi when we say chemotherapy, it attacks all the cells, lahat. Good cells, bad cells, it attacks all the cells.
But immunotherapy much more specific.
Yes, it's a specific drug to a specific like program that like
kaya mas expensive din siya.
And mas expensive siya. Kasi mas specific
Mas specific siya.
Yes.
And Professor Pia, I would also like to see clarification. Ano po yung NGS as mentioned by Doc Julie earlier?
Okay, so paano ba natin to simplify?
For the viewers
it's
today.
It's a matter of determining if you have the genes. Let's say there are genes that need to be screened so that the doctors, the clinicians will be able to know whether you will be able to respond with this kind of treatment or not. So rather than you undergo that kind of treatment, it's too expensive, and then yun pala, you're not going to respond to it, then it's better to have your genes screened so that the doctors will know whether, okay, this is a proper treatment, you are a candidate for this particular drug.
Oh, and Professor Pia, is NGS currently available here in the Philippines?
Yes, but we don't have, well, to be honest, it's very expensive.
Here's the truth, guys.
But hopefully because of, I'm not saying I'm happy we had the pandemic, no, but because of the COVID-19, we have established all these molecular laboratories in the Philippines. And so it's easier now. I mean, we are now ready to embrace molecular analysis, molecular testing.
Post-pandemic world.
So I think we don't necessarily need to do NGS to every patient that we have. We already have all these kits, Doctora, that our clinicians can just give an order. Okay, I want this patient to undergo this particular testing. However, let me quote Doctora Julie ulit yung sinabi niya, these tests are so expensive and therefore we need support from the government. Yun.
Yes. Agree.
It all boils down to
Dun pa lang sa screening, it's really expensive.
So mas eager po talaga if we do ask support from the government. And in Professor Rico's experience naman, back then po wala pa pong NGS that time. Diretso po kayo nag-chemotherapy, diba po,
Yes,
sir?
actually, January, nag-chemotherapy ako actually for around 6 sessions, followed by radiation through linear accelerator, and it was boosted actually by cobalt radiation.
Wow, okay po. And nowadays, syempre may NGS option na po tayo, but it's just really expensive, and it still goes back to improving the general healthcare system for us Filipinos here po.
Actually, it's the cost of treatment that usually makes every patient totally stressed.
Opo.
Yun ang nagpapa-stress sa patient, yung mahal na treatment.
Yes po, and all of you would really agree with that po din,
Yes.
right? That it's quite expensive here in the Philippines. And here today in Lifeline, we're committed to delivering factual information regarding our health. So it's extremely important that we have our guests here today to help us debunk these misconceptions regarding cancer. Before we wrap things up po, do you have any final reminders or words of advice for our audience today? Let's begin with Doc Julie.
So first of all, again, know your body. Know your body, okay? Have a healthy lifestyle. If there are modifiable risk factors, if you can stop smoking, that's good. If you can have healthy lifestyle, you exercise regularly, that's good. Again, prevention is better than cure. That is why we are pushing for cancer screening, because when we get it early, it's curable.
Okay po, and Professor Rico, from your personal experience?
Based from my experience, if you are a cancer patient, just be prepared spiritually, and then make sure that you know how to accept wholeheartedly whatever will be the consequences of cancer and its treatment.
Thank you po, Prof. And Professor Pia?
Okay, I'm gonna speak here as a professor, a researcher, a scientist. I'm not going. What I want to target right now are the our young population, those who are thinking about what career to pursue in the future. I am
go
not saying
and encourage them.
I'm not saying na wag kayong maging medical doctors.
There's no divide here po. There's just encouragement for more
But I want to
people in
encourage
STEM.
our young that if ever they want to pursue science, I hope they can also pursue a career on translational research. Help us here. There are konti pa lang kami na doing this kind of research in the Philippines, and I hope that in the next generations will also want to do a research like what I am doing right now. Kasi hindi kakayanin ng 10 tao lang, 5 tao lang. And also, syempre, ang gobyerno kailangan namin ng pera. Kailangan kasi mahal yung research namin.
Opo.
Suporta lang talagang kailangan. Yeah.
Yes po, Professor Pia. And from advocating for early detection to advocating for more careers in the STEM field when it comes to cancer research, once again, thank you so much po, Dr. Julie Tapispisan, Professor Enrico Yambao, and Professor Pia Albano for joining us here today on Lifeline to talk about this topic po. And cancer is usually a dreadful subject to even think about for most people, and understandably so. The gravity of it is no joke. Today we sat down with 3 people, each of whom gave very insightful answers on the topic of cancer. For Cancer Prevention Awareness Month, we want to not only raise awareness, but to also start a conversation in hopes of making the Philippines a more supportive country for cancer patients. This has been a momentous Lifeline episode, so we thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Once again, I'm Tatiana Austria, and this has been Lifeline, where we improve our lives by feeding our minds.